So I don't have a ton of stuff to talk about. The first topic on here, I think we might have to push back again, because we kind of need Mike Fritch here for that discussion. Um, that work requires a pull request he's had open for a while to zip the binary. Let me actually have the link for that. Find that real quick. I guess, yeah, I put a link in the other pad there, the pull request. So that work is like a pretty important like first step to doing that, and Mike was the one working on that. But he put it on pause, I think, around the Quincy release time. And so our plan was to, or I guess the whole point of this being in the discussion or in the topics is that we need to have a good plan for getting that in for Reef. Not have what happens again. We have Quincy where it doesn't quite get done, and then we just have to push it back because we don't want to put it in a minor release. So figure that out. But and I think we can push that topic back um, until next week. Mike is here because it's not a critical thing. We don't have to have that solved today. So the second thing we have on here is stand-up frequency. This is something that came up a little bit um, before. I was talking with somebody about this offline. That maybe we have the stand-ups a bit too often. So right now they're every day besides Tuesday because we have this on Tuesday. I thought was maybe that it's too close together sometimes, and maybe people don't have things to talk about in each one, and that we could remove some of them, and then just if there was important things, you probably just talk about it in the chat anyway. You don't need a stand up for that. Uh, and 2 or 3 times a week would be enough updates for everyone to be caught up in everything. And I think the proposal we were talking about it there, was to have them just run Monday, Thursday, I think. Reason being that Wednesday they're already at a weird hour because they conflict with other things at a normal time. And Friday people just tend, not really want to do meetings and stuff as much. So did like Monday, Thursday for the stand-ups, and had this weekly on Tuesday that it might be enough to go with everything. And then again, the important stuff, there's always IRC or other channels. You can talk to people directly about things if there's something critical on that day. So does anyone have any thoughts on that? I mean, I'm personally open to it, to lowering the amount. I do feel like there's often people go in there and they're like, oh, I don't really have a lot of hours, only doing some downstream stuff. And if we maybe had a few less of them, then they'd be more productive.
Yeah, I was one of the people who talked to you about that in person. So, yes, I agree.
Right. Probably try to see if we can get everybody who's in the stand up. Because I want to I don't know, share it with people before we just start removing it from the calendar. Maybe I'll bring it up as well in the stand up itself. Maybe one of the few times where it's not actually a proper stand up topic, but maybe it's something we talk about there a little bit anyway.
Hmm.
Um, but of course, I also have to figure out how to. I don't even know how to remove things from the Ceph calendar or change that stuff, so I'd have to figure that out anyway. So I don't think it's just something that would happen this week, regardless. But I mean, it doesn't seem like there's going to be much pushback on that. Pad real quick. Right, that's in there. Anything else I want to say about the stand-up stuff? Any opinions? Fine, just moving on. Nope. So yeah, I wanted to give a quick update on HANFS stuff. Um, so they backported all of the work that we thought we were going to need for that specific a few weeks back. And so Mike Rich was doing some testing with it. I think it was late last week or maybe it was yesterday. I'm not sure his messages. But what he said is it seemed like it was working pretty well actually. Uh, it was like he said 30 to 60 seconds to detect offline host cases and 1 to 3 minutes to redeploy the NFS daemon when host was offline. And things seem to generally be working with the mounting and the HA proxy and keep alive and all that stuff. So it seemed like it was going well. That being said, we still do have that bug open from the OpenStack team related to HA proxy. So what I think we need to do is probably have some sort of sync up, figure out why it's happening to some people and not to other people. So I sent an email or something earlier to Ramana, who was testing it for the OpenStack team, to figure out what was going on there. And I think we're just going to have to compare the steps people are using to configure this and see if it's a really configuration issue or if there is some real bug there. But at the very least, the update is that it seems to be mostly working. And at least for Mike, it was working entirely. But there might be this one other issue we have to solve. So there's not really much of a topic to say there, but I know some people are interested in that, so I like to give up to date on it. The third topic we have in here is for this upgrade ordering stuff. I'm not. Yeah, so basically we have this upgrade order. We've sort of enforced in the upgrade for a long time, but part of it is just that there's also the way we sort of loop through the daemons to upgrade them. So we needed every single daemon type to be in the upgrade order. But now with the staggered upgrade, it's sort of that this now more than just the way we're doing it, it's also just enforcing the way you can do the staggered upgrade as well, where we're saying, well, you can't actually upgrade your like FFS mirror demons after your ice SCSI demons. It has to be like the other way around or whatever. And I feel like it's probably not relevant up to a certain point. So I guess the open question here was sort of how deep do we need to enforce this? So the obvious ones like manager and monitor, those first two, that's definitely important. And then I'd say maybe up through the MDS demons, it'd still be relevant to block people if they try to do that out of order. But I don't know, after RGW, it does feel like it's sort of just a bunch of, it shouldn't really matter. Like,
yeah.
So that's what kind of my thought was maybe we could just stop the upgrade of order enforcing at MDS. That'd be the last one where we say you have to do this one before the other ones. Those are the last of like the sort of core demons that you need.
Sounds good to me. I don't know if this helps or not, but maybe in the code or something, you could just create a concept of something like a group or batch, and say, oh, Daemon and manager, they belong to their own upgrade batch, but the other stuff, the one that's really jumps out at me is like FFS mirror and RBD mirror. Like they have no relationship to each other. They could be swapped around and no one cares. So that could be just the general batch.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is after is RGW on way? It seems like it's more like these gateway sort of demons where they're using them to interact with the cluster, but they're not like the core things like the OSD and the MDS that you need, and like the manager and monitor. So that's why I was sort of wondering up to MDS maybe is where we want to have our limit. And then after that, like, does it matter the RBD mirror versus RGW? Is that like the first place where we could say like doesn't matter anymore? However you want to do it. So that was just my thought was there's limited MDs. I probably have to talk with some people, maybe some other teams, to try to figure out for sure if there's any issues with that. I wasn't really there when they sent the original order, so I don't know how much of it was in like we
That
need to
might
do
be
it this way.
mailing list mail.
Yeah, that could also be a good spot for it. Like the dev list. See people have opinions on it.
Maybe in the dev list could be a good place of this discussion.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, yeah, I gotta put in a mail there and see if it gets any response. If it gets nothing, I think I might just, or at least in my opinion, would be to do it up to MDS. After that, it's probably fine. All right. Yeah, that was all the Ceph ADM topics. There was kind of a light week of things to talk about. So I see there's one Rook thing in here. Is that yours, one me?
Yeah, it was it. Hello, everybody. Well, just to comment that I'm going to retake the work on the Rook Orchestrator part, okay? But I wanted to follow a different approach that the one that we followed in the past, okay? We tried to mimic or to have the same functionality, the same API in both orchestrators, and I think that this has no sense. Okay, we had previous meetings commenting this part of what is the rationale behind this thing that well, probably it has no sense to try to have exactly the same interface. So the new approach that I want, I'm going to try to follow is just to discover what is the functionality that is going to be useful for Kubernetes users and try to implement this part in the orchestrator. Okay. Obviously, all the part about managing infrastructure, I think that is going to be completely different, and probably what I want to investigate and to propose is even a new kind of interface for the Ceph dashboard in order to work with directly with persistent volumes and the way that is usual to create OSDs in Rook in Kubernetes environments with Rook operator. And this is also any suggestion, any idea, any kind of orientation could be useful and very well welcome. So this is all from my part.
All right. So the plan is still to do it through the orchestrator module. So it'll be still orchestrator then Rook, but you're just gonna add some new stuff that's like only gonna be for Rook. That's the idea.
Yes, the idea is to use the orchestrator the orchestrator module that we have now in Rook, okay, and adding functionality in this module, okay. I think that well, probably we can even to add a new interface, or maybe we can start to think in using another new module for another kind of functionality. But I think that the functionality that is proposed, that the orchestrator is proposing is correct, okay? Is the way to connect with a different environment and trying to do operations in a different environment. So I think that we can continue using the same modules.
Yeah. I think the issue before was that we wanted to have like one set of commands they both used, and there was issues getting like Rook commands and Ceph ADM commands that like did the same. They want to do totally different things, so the set of commands doesn't need to be the same. But I guess we could just leave a bunch of them unimplemented in one or the other. Like right now, there's things that are implemented in Ceph ADM that are like they're not implemented in Rook in terms of like this command is not used there. So we just do it the other way as well, I guess, where we just have Rook commands that Ceph ADM doesn't implement because they're Kubernetes specific. And I guess that's fine as long as they're all documented and everything, which ones are implemented in each one.
Okay, I think that, well, the target should be to provide more functionality to final users, okay? And, well, to provide the kind of functionality that a Kubernetes user is going to expect to have, okay? Not something completely artificial. And I think that in the case of the orchestrator API, there are things that are directly not applicable to Kubernetes environments. So let's keep the modules. I think that the architecture is right. We can use that, okay? But maybe we can even would be needed to add new API endpoints, okay? I do not know. Let's investigate and let's see if we can use the same scheme. I think that it is going to be probable, but let's see. The first thing to see is this is the functionality that we need. Let's see how we can implement that with the current resources.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me too. I think it could come up in one of the previous meetings where it said something like, I tried to suggest that maybe the Orchestrator API today is too maximal. It's too close to what the ADM wants. Can we divide these APIs into this subsection, that subsection? Some of those subsections won't make sense for, say, Rook, or maybe it won't make sense for Ceph ADM, but there could be certainly some common stuff, and then there could be some other things that other backends won't necessarily implement.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we are almost everybody is in the same idea, the same line. Okay? So let's see. Don't be focused in trying to get exactly the same AP in both orchestrators. Let's focus in functionality. That is the important thing.
Yep. I think we all sort of agree on that. That's a good approach going forward.
Yeah.
Right. Does anyone have anything else to say on that topic? It seems like we're all sort of agreeing what to do. So. Right. In that case, that was the last topic we had in the pad. Does anybody have any other topics you want to bring up here?
This is tangentially related, but just because it annoyed me the other day. Why do we use a Git submodule to bring the Rook Python package into the tree and then have like a funky shell script to copy things around? And I'm curious if anyone knows what the history of that is and who maintains this Rook library. If we could get someone to do a release, can we stop doing the submodule dance?
Are you talking about the Rook library that allows us to connect direct? Okay.
Yes.
Well, this was started as an idea in order to make easy for other projects to use the Rook operator API. But it hasn't been very successful, and it adds a layer that makes more complicated for us for the Rook orchestrator, for the orchestrator module to work. Okay, so maybe it's something that I think that is suitable of to have a new approach. Okay, and to maybe directly to implement these connections, this library in the Rook stator module.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because I didn't look into it too deeply. I couldn't figure out what would needed to go in there because the Cube APIs are standardized. It would just, I'm guessing, mappings of the CRDs to objects or something, which.
Yeah, it's a nice programming exercise, okay, but the thing is that nobody is using that, and it is adding an external layer that needs to be updated properly updated in order to be usable. So it adds maybe some kind of complexity to the project. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, it's a way to do the things, and it's a way to make possible to have another project using the Rook operator.
Yeah, I mean, if it was something like it had releases and versions and stuff, it might be better. But it seems like a kind of a code drop that was stitched into the tree with submodules, and I'll admit it, I personally do not like submodules. When I see them, I'm like, oh boy. So yeah, I'm just curious kind of how it came about. So that answers all my questions.
This is the history. It seemed a very good idea when we thought about that.
Right.
Was this that like Rook client Python thing where we have to run that script that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Only I know about that is sometimes you have to run it again, otherwise make check fails. Here,
It's one of those things that, like, because I typically don't build all the C++ stuff, if I do a fresh check out of Ceph and I try to, like, run talks under the manager directory, it fails because I'm like, oh, yeah, this. Oh, I did that 3 months ago. Now I have to remember how to do this again.
Yeah. It happens to me also. You have to refresh it from time to time.
So like maybe it's something we could look into changing at some point. It doesn't seem like it's worked out super well. What one was saying.
Yeah, I don't know how often Rook changes or adds a new CRD, so yeah, you wonder what the value add is.
I think that in this moment it's very stable. So probably what we can keep that, okay, but we need to. The problem is that we need a maintainer for the repository for the to update the things and to be aware that what happens, and for sure that there is no kind of integration test in order to automatically detect if there is one problem. Okay, this is another big problem. So
Absolutely.
it's a problem of resources and to do the things in the way that could be easy to be aware about fails or updates and to have the Python library always in a good shape. But we need resources for that. Okay, so let's see, step by step.
Right. I'm just curious. Yep. Thanks. That answers all my questions.
Okay, cool. Does anyone have anything else you want to talk about here? Nope. All right. Yeah, we can call it then for the week. So thanks everyone for coming, and I'll see you all next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, goodbye.